Hello and welcome to Narrowboat Natterings. It's early October and I'm aware that winter is closing in, which means creating content becomes more difficult. Being lucky enough to live within the area of the Birmingham Canal navigations, I'm taking the opportunity to spend a week exploring some of the attributes of the Birmingham main line. Here I am in Gas Street, just leaving my mooring at the point where there was once access to Paradise Wharf, sometimes known as Old Wharf, completed in 1773. This was one of the two termini of the Birmingham Canal, having split at Old Turn Junction to become the Paradise Street branch. I just love looking at all the old entrances and bridge holes that have long been made redundant by progress. It's great to see modern day business making use of them. At least we don't seem so hell-bent on totally removing these fantastic relics of a bygone era as perhaps we used to. So I'm just heading around to the other Birmingham terminus of the Birmingham Canal, and that's at Cambrian Wharf. So this is all that's left of the original Newell Branch Canal. And this was one of the original, well, this is now the terminus of the old Birmingham main line. But it used to go off through where the trees are there and where the high-rise blocks are, and it used to go up for about a further half a mile. And then there was like a forked tongue sort of ending to that where there were a couple of wharfs. It also branched off over to the right and it went through to a couple of bigger wharfs where Centenary Square is now. So it used to go up through a tunnel and then there was a lock which is now under Baskerville House. That was built over that lock. So that used to go through there. So this was in effect the end of or the start of the original Brindley old main line. So going off down the locks there, that's the Birmingham Fazeley Canal, that's the Farmers Bridge Flight. So the Newell branch was completed, or the terminus was completed in 1772. There was one other terminus to Brindley's old main line, and that was Paradise Wharf, and that was 1773. As in Paradise Wharf, that was where the Birmingham Canal Navigations Company had their head office, not far away from where the Birmingham Town Hall is right now. I'm taking the opportunity to spend a week exploring some of the attributes of the Birmingham main line and how it changed from Brindley's original, completed in 1772, through to Telford's redesign, eventually completed in 1838, 4 years after Telford's death. So Brindley's original canal was 22.5 miles long, very, very meandering, trying to keep it on the level as best he could. There obviously had to be a flight of locks at Smethy. So the original canal was very loopy. I'm just going to take you through some of the loops that have been left here from the old canal. So I'm just going to take the route of the old main line. So this to the left and right of me here, this is what they now know as Old Turn Junction. It used to be known as Deep Cutting. Still, some people still do call it Deep Cutting. It's now known as Old Turn. And the original main line did also go down there. That's where it used to go down to the other terminus, which is Paradise. Because who's that? Hello mate, how you doing, Graham? Good to see you. So we're now going into Oozells Loop. So originally, again, this would have been just part of the old main line. All right, mate. Now, the reason there were two wharfs in Birmingham, two terminus wharfs, was because different sponsors had vested interests. So there was probably one or two rows going on as to where the terminus was to be. And I guess it's very much akin to somebody basically saying, well, if you don't put me a terminus there, you ain't having me bloody money. Or words to that effect. So when the initial line was built, so as soon as we were able to link up with Wednesbury, that gave access to a lot of coal fields out in the Black Country, and the price of household coal was halved overnight, basically. That's how much more efficient it was once the canals were available for use. So by 1769, 10 miles had been completed. And so by 1770, work pushed on towards Wolverhampton. The canal eventually joined up with the Staffs Worcester Canal at Oozells Junction in 1772. Tragically, James Brindley died just a few days later. Just now coming into Sherburn Wharf. It's all private moorings these days through here. So these days, obviously Oozells Loop is used for residential properties. All of this around here is kind of city living apartments. Quite fancy a bit of that actually, I'd do that. And all of these boats moored around here, these are all private moorings. So lots of inner city living here. Actually, I think it's quite beautiful. Boat just down here. Blue boat on the right is Delicia. You may have seen in one of my earlier vlogs me towing a stranded boat, stricken boat, down on the Stratford Canal. So that was Delicia. The owner of that boat told me that he was in Sherburn Wharf. So yes, I know that boat well. So here we are coming to the end of what's known as Oozells Loop, but again, going back to the 1770s, 1772, this was just actually the canal. So this is now known as Ladywood Junction. Little glance over the wall, make sure nothing's coming. That's all clear. Nothing coming dead ahead, so out we go. So again, back in Brindley's day, this would have been a much more narrower affair. This would have been the original old main line, even though Telford then widened it when he came along at a later point. But we are still on the old main line, but this is also now known as the new main line. So you can see the straightness of Telford's canal dead ahead there. We're going to take this left now. So again, this would have been the original old main line. This is now known as Port Loop. Icknield Port Loop, to give it its full name, but it's recently become known as Port Loop. There's a massive development going on here. This has been quite a derelict site for quite a while. It's a big island really, because the loop goes all the way around it, and obviously you've got the new main line going down there. So this whole section of land is in the middle of all, canals go all the way around it. You wouldn't know if you lived on there. You wouldn't actually think you're on an island. I think when you're on a boat, you recognise it as an island. If you were on there, you just access it via a bridge, and you wouldn't really appreciate the fact that you are on an island. Well, some interesting housing around here. Probably an acquired taste. I quite like it. They're not pretty. They're very cuboid. I would guess they're very efficient. But I think there's going to be a proper good community around here. There's shops been built. There seems to be some nice recreation areas going on down here. So, yeah, it's been quite heavily advertised to come and live at Port Loop. They call it Port Loop. But again, you can see all the evidence around the side of this of the old industry that was obviously fed by the canal. And the reason they didn't fill the loops in when Telford cut through was because there was still so much industry there. It still deserved that, the services of the canal, and the infrastructure that was there to transport goods to and from those sort of commercial premises. But yeah, some very modern living premises here, very nice. So I could certainly, I'd try a bit of this for a while. I'm not sure whether it's me forever, but I could certainly try it. If you don't mind being a window to the world as well, because every boat that comes past is going to gawp through your windows like I am doing. But if you're happy to sit there with those windows clear and clear in view, you're probably the sort of person that's going to wave back to the boat, aren't you? As they just have. There's a big old wide beam here that they're using as a sales office. So that would have been brought in by road, because there's no way you can get a wide beam into Birmingham. There are no wide locks to allow that to happen. Apparently the story behind that is when they got to Camp Hill Locks, which is coming off the Grand Union basically, that's where the locks suddenly go narrow. And that was purely down to the fact that they ran out of money. They didn't have the money to put in wide locks. I think most of the people on the BCN will say that's a nice thing about it. Wide beams aren't always accepted as useful on the canals. C'est la vie. We deal with whatever. Again, all sorts of old industry here. I'm sure some of it's protected, but some of it is a blight. Some of it looks like it could do with coming down before it falls down. But I do love to look at all the little holes in the wall and bricked up doorways and things like that were directly onto the canal, and wonder, you know, what was going on. What was that for? What was that doorway for? What did the people look like that were, I don't know, loading bags of flour or sand or whatever it was? Going under the Icknield Port Road here. And then dead ahead, big grass bank. The top of that is Edgbaston Reservoir, originally known as Rotten Park Reservoir. Again, going back to the 1760s, late 1700s, there was a fishing pool up there. And when Telford came along and realised he needed lots of water to service the use of the canals, because everything from Birmingham is going downhill, he created Rotten Park Reservoir, which is something like 30 million gallons of water or something. So that was a significant requirement for the increased traffic that was coming in and out of Birmingham. So this section around here now is a CRT depot. It's like the Birmingham CRT depot. So there's lots of working boats around here, CRT working boats. But there is also a collection of old historic boats as well, which are very interesting. I'm not sure who they belong to. Possibly to the CRT, I don't know. But lots of them are in the original British Waterways colours, and interesting stuff around here. Some beautiful architecture as well. So this is where the main sluices are as well around here. So if the canals are low on water, they can release some water from the reservoir. I'm not sure that a lot of that happens anymore. I'm not absolutely sure. I'm sure somebody will tell me in the comments. That's Icknield Port Loop. Going back under the Icknield Port Road now, we've just looped straight around it. And we're now coming down the other side of the residential building project that's going on. But these sorts of loops now, they see very little traffic. Only nosy people like me really sort of venture around them. There's I think there's a lot of people are a bit scared that they're going to get fouled up and snagged up on stuff, and you know there might be a lot of silt about. You have to be careful. You have to try and stay down the middle, and you can probably expect to go in the weed hatch 1 or 2 times. But I think it's just worth it. They're worth the trip around. Just that, pay that bit of respect to James Brindley, I suppose. I love all this. So they're creating a complete new quayside here. So I'm suspecting then that maybe they are going to have a really nice waterfront on this side. So very residential over there. I'm just wondering, there's a lot of pillars in place here. So perhaps this is going to be the more sort of the commercial side to it. fantastic. Waterfront here would be fantastic because there's some lovely moorings here. I wonder what they're going to do with that. It'd be interesting to see what happens over the next year or two with this. So again, we're just approaching now the main line again. So this is the old main line. Just re-establish that. This is Brindley's old twisting main line. And we're going to go straight across this new main line because the twisting contour of Brindley would continue straight across. So we're going to take the route across. And that's going to take us across into Soho Loop. And that will do for today. Hopefully you now have a better insight of why there are so many loops of canal still in water today and how we make use of them 250 years on from their construction. Next time out, you'll see the continuation around Soho Loop and then back into Birmingham on Telford's new main line, the beast that caused all the loops as it dissected the old twister that had been created 60 years previously. Please do like, subscribe and comment on this video. It's all free, you know, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.